So that's good. My job is half done. Amazon Web Services, how many of you are aware? Okay, good. So about a third. So one, I'm really going to share with you the opportunity that lies with us. My second role is of, I have come across as a father of a 16-year-old and a 23-year-old and an uncle to my nephew and niece who are doing AI ML in Carnegie Mellon. One of them is in Apple. And I'm kind of constantly forcing these people to push their careers and get enriched on cloud. So as a father and an uncle as well, I'm deeply invested in their careers and the opportunity that it brings. And finally, I think the talk that you heard in the morning of the Chief Minister, really passionate about keeping the brain drain from going to other countries. I think the India opportunity is now, India opportunity is real. And if we can make for India and make, India is going to be, the next decade is India's decade. And I want to give you that trust and confidence to this presentation. So what I'm going to do, folks, is I'm going to talk about 3-4 things. One, I'll give you some findings from a research that we did, which talks about what are the kind of digital skills being sought after. And those of you who are pursuing computer engineering courses and software engineering courses, I want to kind of give you a sense of what is being asked by the industry. Then I'm going to talk about why cloud, why it matters. You may have heard about it, but seeing the numbers, it all of you were witness to that. If you with a firm called Alpha Beta. These are findings from that research, and there's a new research we're coming out with this year. So what it essentially says is 95% of the employees said, listen, we need more digital skills because what we bring to the table is not adequate to be relevant in the industry. The employees said the more we actually give digital skills to our employees, there's a higher rate of productivity. 92% said they get better productivity, there's better retention, because guess what, many of you work for companies which offer the best technical stack. That's the real pushing factor for employees to jump from one company to at least the technocrats. So that was this thing, that certainly the need for digital skills is high. Now how do you solve for these digital skills, because that wasn't in the curriculum. There aren't many teachers who can teach you. Then how of a sudden, so you take care of your own destiny. And we were trying to, at Amazon, scrambling to get the knowledge out as soon as possible because our customers were asking for it. Second, this year alone, 27.3 million workers will need digital skills. Last year when we did the survey, 12% of India's workforce was digitally skilled. And these digital skills span from the basic to the high end of AI and ML. What I will relate to is kind of the high end where we're talking about cloud computing. So this year, another 7% will get added. So by the end of this year, about 19% of the workforce in India will be digitally skilled. Now, that is where we are. Despite being the software capital of the world, that's the state of India. The other thing is, there are people who said, listen, we face problems in digital skilling. Lack of time is one issue because all of you have your own curriculums to do. So how do you find additional time? How do you identify the right courses? What is the right price point at which you're going to consume this? So availability of courses, the right micro credentials, that's the other one. Now, the thing is, 4 out of the top 6 skills are cloud related. 4 of the top skills required in the next decade are operated on the cloud. So if you see the chart here, you'll have cloud, cloud architect, you have AI ML, you have cyber security, you have operations on the cloud, you have data and big data. All of that, cloud makes it more relevant and makes it more executable because that's the scale that it gives. Now, if that's the game, I think that's what we're trying to solve. And the good part is the national education policy. I don't know how many of you had a chance to look at the national education policy. The national education policy is trying to fix the education system and saying we want outcome-based learning, which means that you will have in your colleges choice of electives to take, different courses, and you will get credits for that, which you can accumulate over your lifetime journey as a learner. So for instance, I'll give you an example. We have aligned our courses to the National Skills Qualification Framework, which is required by AICTE and the National Education Policy to be offered to colleges. You can take those courses and you can accrue credits and carry them over. Anybody knew about this? If not, you have to go back to your colleges, you have to go back to and check, what are the electives being offered and are they kind of embracing the national education policy. Folks, I think that's the game. Very critical to have digital skills here and now. 4 out of the 6 are on the cloud. Now, I'll first, for those who are not familiar with cloud, I'll just set the baseline so that you know what we're talking about. Essentially, what we are saying is, cloud is nothing else but the consumption of IT resources over the internet, right? So just like you consume water and electricity, you consume your compute, your storage, everything pretty much on the cloud. When we look at our phones today, we are actually having hybrid data centers on the phone. There are some private apps, there are some public apps. You will see that you are carriers of hybrid data centers. Each of you are data center managers in that sense, right? So it's really about consuming IT resources in such a way that you are not programming them, you are not patching them. All you're doing is what you're good at. What are you good at? You're good at creativity. You're good at innovation. You're good at writing code. You're good at combining data models. You don't need to worry about what is there in the hypervisor layer, what is there in the database, because that is not a thing to do in the industry anymore. Now, if you see, that's the typical scenario. So in the earlier world, you had all these massive data centers which company used to have on their premise. And they had people managing networking, they had people managing storage, they had people. So what had happened was, and this was the problem to move to the cloud faster in the pandemic. So people who kept on, who were stuck on the on-prem model. Now in an on-prem model, it takes 6 to 8 weeks to order a server, another 2-3 weeks to kind of provision it, patch it, blah, blah. So by the time you're actually productive, it's about 10 to 11 weeks of effort. Now that much time you don't have in the pandemic because suddenly there's a lockdown. You need to cater to customer experiences. You need to get a vaccine out quickly. Do you have the luxury of 8 or 11 weeks anymore? Answer is not. So people realize that the on-prem model is not necessarily the model that's going to sustain. And the cloud model was, listen, everything, the data center is managed and owned by someone else. You own the design. You own the code, you write the code, and you get to results faster, you get to innovation faster, you take out products faster to the market. So that's essentially what we do. At Amazon Web Services, we started in 2006 when we powered Amazon's e-commerce site. We realized we did that very well, and we took our business and offered the same model to many companies. So all we do is we run our own data centers. You have many choices of compute, many choices of storage, many choices of databases, many choices of analytical models and frameworks, AI, ML, you know the works, augmented reality, IoT. You don't need to bother about infrastructure. You just spin up. So someone talked about how do we, if you have an idea, I think there was a question in the morning. If you have an idea, then to be honest, that idea you need to try out, and the cloud is the fastest way to try out. You can't get a VC to fund you immediately. That's what the positivity of the cloud is. You can try out that idea and the code quickly and probably then bootstrap your funding. So at Amazon, that's what we do. We have data centers across the world in different zones. We help customers manage what they do best, which is innovation. And really, what are the 4 or 5 distinct advantages? One is cost. So what happens is you convert CapEx into OpEx. Understand capital expenditure? You pay cash upfront to buy server, storage. You don't need to do that because now you can pay as you grow. So let's say you use 100 terabytes of storage, you pay for 100 terabytes of storage. You don't buy 4 petabytes of storage and keep it, and sometimes it is under provision and sometimes it is over provision. I'm sorry, these are some industry terms. Happy to dive deep on these. So you first convert the nature of your expenditure from CapEx to OpEx. Then because it is pay as you use. Then the other big thing, then and that itself gets you a cost reduction of 30 to 40%. So if you were spending $100, now you spend $70. So that first itself is a reduction. But the biggest advantage of the cloud is agility. How quickly can you, scale up resources and provide resources? Have you ever wondered in an IPL match, how many concurrent viewers would be there? Any guess? Let's say there's an IPL match in India on Disney Hotstar. Take a guess, how many viewers would there be concurrently viewing a match? Any guesses? Pick a number. Any other guesses? So at any point in time, imagine Disney Hotstar having to figure out what is the capacity on any given day to watch the match. Now, is it, you need to be damn good Nostradamus or some person who can see the future to figure out. So what happens in the cloud is you can the cloud automatically provisions resources according to the workload. Someday, on a peak day, you can have as many as 25 million concurrent users watching an IPL match. Yeah? Now, imagine the power of the cloud. You go from 6 million users at, let's say, 12 o'clock. You go to 10 million users, let's say, at 1 o'clock. And it's a seamless auto scaling that happens. Resources get automatically added rather than someone really sweating, how am I going to provide for server? What about customer experience? You saw the buffering in some of the things earlier. You don't see that anymore because all these are run on the cloud. So the advantage of agility, advantage of the fact that you don't need to think about capacity anymore. Those are some of the advantages. You heard Doctor talk about genome sequencing. How quickly can you go from genome sequencing to a vaccine? That's the promise of the cloud. That's how the data sets of the cloud run. Now, what is the cloud market in India? I wanted to now start giving you some context because as you think about your careers, the cloud market in India in 2020, so there are about 3 categories of cloud. There's infrastructure as a service, there is software as a service, and there is platform as a service. So infrastructure as a service is you use storage, you use compute, you use database. SaaS as a service is software as a service. So you use Office 365, you use Zoom, you use many of these Salesforce, all those are SaaS. And then PaaS is when you're actually using platforms available to deploy code. That's platform as a service. Now, India market is growing at a CAGR of about 26, 27% in terms of 21% in terms of cloud. The largest portion is SaaS. And I will tell you, the SaaS market has brought in a lot of VC funding. You saw Doctor, earlier talk about how we have jumped the innovation index. We have jumped the innovation index because companies are actually creating SaaS products. They're no longer doing Y2K. They're no longer doing basic code. Indians are actually writing a lot of SaaS products. So this is a market that's growing very high. It's going to be a 9.6 billion market. And very concentrated on IaaS, and IaaS and SaaS are the biggest components of this market. So as you think about how many computer science people here in terms of developing software developers? Software developers? How many doing VLSI design? Any chip design people here? Anybody doing AI ML here? Data science? Okay, so folks, what I want to tell you is, what's the cloud economy? The cloud economy is that and this is a report that was done by NASSCOM. How much do you think the cloud economy is going to contribute to India's GDP? 8%. Cloud economy alone can be $310 to $380 billion by the year 2026. Now that's a big jump, and this is direct and indirect. So that's the impact that the cloud has by virtue of services that are being created by cloud, by the ecosystem that is built around the cloud. That's the contribution of services. It can improve India's global innovation index. We were ranked, this is like a 132 countries index. We were 82 in somewhere around 2015. I think we now finished at 42nd or so in 2022. And cloud was responsible for this. Why cloud was responsible for this is because the private equity funding that came and the VC funding that came, that rose by a factor of 5.6x in the last few days because people like you were innovating on the cloud. We have Techgentia here, which actually doing video conferencing solutions on the cloud, creating a SaaS product. We have Amagi, we have Freshworks. These are companies who are now actually providing solutions to people outside. Khatabook, JustPay, Paytm are all examples of people who are actually creating SaaS products. The second contribution was You will also see just the cloud contribution to exports. So VC funding came, SaaS products got developed, exports went up. Exports went up by a factor of 2.4, 2.5, right? And then finally, you have patents and publications. So about 85,000 patents were on the cloud alone, contributing to 45% of the patents that were filed from India. This is huge, folks. So if you have not awakened to that possibility, if you have not done, please do it now, because no longer are your engineering graduate degrees going to be enough. I promise you, because I work with the largest companies in India. What is their challenge? Their challenge is when you are coming out of colleges, you're not ready to be deployed day one in the field. So they take something like 3 to 4 months at the minimum to get you to deploy stuff on the work that they do. They want day one ready stuff. So very soon what you will see is that you might be competing with a 12th class graduate who has acquired a cloud degree, who has a very specific skill, and who might beat you to the job. That's how real it is, folks. Okay, now in terms of, this is the only business, folks, which is actually where the demand is outstripping supply. So by 2025, this is one NASSCOM research did in 21. 2025, you need about 2.2 million cloud engineers. We have only 1.4, so we're already looking at a gap. See, the thing is, because of the pandemic, more and more companies are pushing products on the cloud. More and more, suddenly you need a digital talent pool. Whatever is available, they're absorbing from the market. They need to create this thing. We don't have a faster, accelerated pipeline of producing cloud talent. So this is a good place to be in. Second, NASSCOM again did the survey. And they said, listen, what is the opportunity? So by 2026, that 2.2 is getting to about 3.2, 3.4. These are the cloud roles that are being sought after. So you see cloud software ops, you have cloud architecture, cloud operations. So if you're developing code, if you're learning full stack, how do you deploy a full stack on Amazon Web Services is the skill that they're going to be asking for you. If you get it, they'll be faster. So before you finish your engineering degree, take time out and actually do that certification on the cloud. If you go and look at, validate, job portals are buzzing around cloud talent. Look at the number of jobs that are there on the job portals. And finally, the thing is, early talent, people who are coming out of colleges. So what is India facing? We have 6 million people who are potentially addressable. 2 million of them are in the STEM stream. There are about 4.5 or 4.7 workers who are in the IT BPM. So we have a talent pool, addressable talent pool of about 6.7 million people. Now, the early talent pool, so how are we solving about this? So one is obviously educating people like you in the student stream to come. The other is lateral, people like us who need to be upskilled very quickly. So early talent pool comprises about 25% of the talent pool. So you are a very critical part to solving this puzzle. Okay, and the other thing is, good part is, this is resistant to macroeconomic headwinds. ESG did a research and said, listen, do you sense that given the current economic environment, what is your take of cloud talent going to be? 2/3 of them said, we are actually going to grow our talent pool by 20%. Some of them actually say we're going to add 100%. So good part is cloud talent, relative to some of the other talent, is right now a little more resistant to the macroeconomic headwinds that the world is facing. Okay. It's an eye chart, but essentially what you see here is, what are the different kind of software roles that some of the largest integrators are asking for? What are the skill sets that are being added? I think the pieces that are critical to address is, there are critical skills and there are scarce skills. Critical skills are like a cloud talent, like a cloud architect who can configure stuff on the cloud. It is a skill that at least you have people you can train and you can get them ready. It's a critical skill for the business because they need to operate tomorrow on the cloud. Then you have scarce skills. What are scarce skills? Scarce skills are which are value addition. You know, they add a lot of value to the business, but there's not a whole lot of talent available. What are those skills? And I would want you to pivot towards those. Get the baseline cloud talent, but then master and major in those. And what are those? Those are big data. Those are data science. Those are AI and ML. You would have heard a lot of AI ML recently. You heard about ChatGPT. You're seeing a lot of that stuff. But I'll tell you, Right now, who's the country which is the highest on AI ML? Any guesses? Who's progressed the farthest on AI ML? Any guesses? Any other guess? So it's not US, it's China. And if you have just been following the news and what has been happening, China has been making some big strides in AML. Now this is a strategic priority. In the budget of this year, so one is Niti Aayog is saying AI for all in India. In this budget, they are announcing for innovation centers, make AI work for India. It's now a geopolitical strategy and urgency for India to actually progress on AI and ML. And this is a scarce cell. We want to provide that here. We're working with the team here to see if we can create an innovation center. Some of the problems that were alluded to in the morning can be solved using AI/ML. Okay, now so do you get a sense of how critical it is? Just the market numbers? The urgency towards the cloud, that was the intent of the... so what do? I wanted to give you a view of how AWS is structured. So what we have in AWS is, we have what we call availability zones. So how do we set up our infrastructure? We have availability zones, which is nothing else but multiple data centers. So let's say we'll have a data center in Cochin. We'll probably have another data center 40 miles from here. And we'll connect them with a 100 gigabyte Ethernet, fully encrypted link. And that will become an availability zone. Multiple availability zones. So multiple data centers make an availability zone. And multiple availability zones makes a region. So for instance, now we have two regions in India. We have a Hyderabad region, which we just launched, and we have a Mumbai region. So a Mumbai region will have multiple availability zones, which will have multiple data centers connected with very high throughput links, which are secure, which are encrypted. That's how we are structured. And then what we have are edge locations. What does that mean? So let's say if I need to stream IPL video to you, will I incur latency if I were to stream that from a data center in Mumbai? Likely, there'll be buffering. So how do I address that? I have edge locations, which means I'll have some location in some cities in some cities in different where it will be serviced and cached locally, such that the customer experience in video streaming will not go. So these are edge locations. So if you think of AWS infrastructure, think about data centers, availability zones, and regions, and edge locations. That's how we cater to the business. Now in India, so globally, we have about 31 regions. We have about 99 locations, and these are all connected over 100 gigabytes. So if you see, AWS has been investing in a lot of data centers. Just Hyderabad investment till 2030 will be about $4.3 billion for us. Yeah, so these are very high investment businesses that we set up to service different locations across the world. Okay, now cloud is not only compute. Cloud is not only storage. So some of you may use a S3 storage, some of you may be using a compute EC2 instance. But in the cloud, why cloud makes sense? Because of cloud economics, because of the massive data sets available. You know why AI/ML has started gaining currency now? AI/ML was available. These frameworks were available in 1956. The reason they are available now is because earlier you didn't have the kind of compute power that you needed. You didn't have the massive data sets that you needed to process them. That's why you see a certain scale of AI. That's because of the cloud. So in the cloud today, you can do pretty much of any of the things. It could be IoT, it could be running sensors, it could be running genome sequencing, it could be running 3D simulations on factories, it could be running AR, VR, it could be anchoring and articulating your metaverse strategy, it could be blockchain. So when you think about cloud, all these can be run on the cloud. It's not only a few workloads. So innovation on the cloud is faster. Your time to... The other thing is, someone asked, how does a student, for instance... Now, if a student has an idea and he wants to write a code quickly, what's the fastest way to test waters? Cloud. Learn fast. At Amazon, we have a culture to say, fail fast and learn fast. So these are all the services. In India, our focus is to help enable builders to build India. So how can we help you build a better India? And if you see, That's what we're doing. So we have heard about the startup ecosystem in India. Most of the startups start their journey on AWS. TechGenshare here, good example of that. Most of the large banks that you see today on the cloud, on AWS. So our focus is twofold. How do we help develop talent? That's why I'm here today. How do we help our customers? And how do we kind of create breakthrough innovations at a fast rate? So we made a commitment, and we said globally we'll train about 29 million individuals. By 2025, we want to train about 29 million individuals in the cloud. Now, in India, we've trained about 3 million. Our goal is to get to about 5 million very quickly. But now our focus is from education to employability. We want to take that and bridge that from education to employability. Therefore, I have an offer for you. And what the offer is, increasingly, people who take AWS certifications, we have an employment engagement team that connects them to a job opportunity. Not a job guarantee, connects them to a job opportunity. And if you are good, if you're determined, you can get actually recruited in one of these roles. We started in 2011. In India, now we are across 2 regions. We are across 16 edge locations. And this commitment, India is now the 3rd fastest growing market. In fact, last year we were the fastest growing market for AWS anywhere in the world. That's the power of India. And we continue to be very, very, very strong. So just to give you a sense, 83% of the top 100 companies by market cap today run on AWS. 7 of the top banks run on AWS. Top 20 insurance companies run on AWS. 40,000 SMBs run on AWS. That's the kind of huge spread of demand of cloud computing that's coming through just in India alone. Now, these are some customers across, but I think the names that, I don't know whether I have a slide here. No, okay. So some of the customers that you have dealt with, I talked about Paytm, I talked about IPL, Disney, I talked about companies like Swiggy. All of these customers that you deal with, Book My Show, IRCTC, Cowin platform, Arogya Setu, all of that was on AWS. And then you have a bunch of customers. So we talked about Cowin here. And then a whole lot of education customers so with ASAP, we had a tie-up. And I think I'm here to accelerate that tie-up. The idea was to provide you pro bono courses and provide you with certification. I think we need to take and ignite that further. So how can you start your cloud journey? So if your college is enrolled on the ASAP program and you have an Amazon ambassador, anybody who has an Amazon ambassador, Educate or Academy ambassador? Okay, so we have Educate and these are programs that we have. So check out AWS Educate. For those of you who want to get started alone, check out AWS Educate and check out Skill Builder. Those are courses where you can actually start your cloud journey. For those colleges where there is an AWS Educate program where we actually train a trainer and that person teaches 6 and 8 semester students, they can actually take the courses and take the certification. Certification is kind of discounted. They take through that. Alumni of Educate and Academy, we put them to potential job opportunities. So the first place is start digital learning. So you can go to Skill Builder, check out Skill Builder. You will have different role types. You will have different level types. Start learning these courses and you can start actually getting familiarized with those terms. You can appear for a certification later, but at least get immersed in the curriculum. These are some subscription models. There is a free model. You can start with the free model. Then you have an individual subscription model where you will have labs you can actually do. And then there are, for organization, we have team subscription models. So start with the free tier first, in case you have not started already. And then if you find value, go and take the individual subscription. Then we have classroom training sessions. So our partners do, after you have done through the free training sessions, we have classroom training sessions that we do. Academy ambassadors actually do that. We teach them in classes. These are like 8-hour classes that we do. And there are about 12 certifications that we take. So for starters, I will encourage you to take the Cloud Practitioner Essentials and Solutions Architect Associate. This will get started on your cloud journey. The Solution Architect Associate is one of the most sought after certification. It will take 6 to 8 weeks of preparation. But if you do that, coming out of the college, folks, there's a lack of difference. So a cloud career fetches a job anywhere between 4.5 lakhs to 16 lakhs. That's the range. 4.5 lakhs to 16 lakhs is the range. an engineering degree alone plus an engineering degree plus cloud will see an automatic 20% increment in your home pay take rates. Okay? So any of the 12 certifications, I will say start with Solution Architect Associate, Cloud Practitioner Essentials. These are foundational association, associate. And then these are the different education programs. One of the things we also do, there's a program called AWS Restart, where we have a 12-week program for people who have nothing to do with the cloud. Let's say women who have taken a break from sabbatical, they had to jump out of the workforce. We realized that during the COVID, number of women in India, contribution of female workers in India fell to 19%. We are third from the bottom, folks. We are third from the bottom in the industry today. So women who are taking care, want to, after sabbatical, want to come back to work, they put them through a 12-week pro bono funded by us 9-to-5 program, which we then connect to a job opportunity. 70%, we have now, with 3,000 odd candidates, we move through this program. We have a 70% placement rate from this program. We have some amazing stories of women whose husbands had Parkinson's. They had probably no technical education going through the program. We have programs, stories of women who had divorce issues, had fallen from the IT careers, taking this and moving through this program. Veterans, people in the hospitality industry who lost jobs, wanting to come back to career, wanting to start a tech career, AWS Restart is the way to go. So that's what we do, folks. And again, the focus is education to employment. So we do these campus hiring, virtual job fairs. So our focus is not only to leave you alone, but then potentially source your resume and provide that to people. We do something like talent pipeline as a service. So an Infosys or a Wipro will tell us how many people they need for the year. We will keep a bench ready, train, and will provide them as a service. These are some people who have hired from the cohorts that we have trained. We've already placed close to 4,000 people in the industry. And I think that is now our promise to the industry is we want to provide 100,000 employable resources day one ready within a span of about 24 months. That is why there's an urgency to reach out to people like you to see that they can take the course and we can connect them to potential job opportunities. Some amazing stories of testimonials, people with humble backgrounds wanting to come back, wanting to do a career, wanting to support their family. Great example here of the first candidate who now works at Capgemini, the second candidate who works with a partner. So some amazing, amazing stories of students who are actually coming together. And these are stories of women who have really are part of this community. There's a community of 66,000 women. They went through the cohort programs, some amazing testimonials from them. So folks, I wanted to kind of, my special offer for you today. So one, obviously, work with the ASAP team. Those of you who have not taken courses, take that. Just make a note of this email ID. What we are providing for is a 3-day instructor-led class. We are going to provide you with what we call exam preparation. There'll be a voucher that will be provided. And we will then potentially get you to employment opportunities. So start, those of you who are really serious in the 6th and 8th semester, write to this email ID. And we are looking at 500 odd people from Kerala to start with. And I then want to put in an AI Center of Innovation here in Cochin, such that you can do and solve Kerala problems on AI here. So we're looking at 500 of you. If we can move you quickly through a 1 month fast track, we would love to do that. So folks, I'll quickly summarize and then I'll take questions. First, digital skills is what the customers needed yesterday. We don't have the talent pool. 4 out of 6 skills are cloud related. Second, cloud matters. 8% of India's GDP is going to be through cloud by 2026. We are going to be bumping up the Global Innovation Index because of what we do here. Cloud careers are relatively resistant to the macroeconomic headwinds. Third, AWS is there. Do your innovation, do your testing across a test of services. Any technology you want to test, try and fail fast, succeed fast on the cloud with AWS. Present across 2 regions in India, 31 locations globally. You can actually spin up stuff globally. If you are an entrepreneur, you've got a product, you can go to global markets in a jiffy. And that's the power of cloud. And finally, take control of your destiny. Take control of your destiny now, because those of you who are not, you're going to be finding your engineering degrees are not going to cut slack. Okay? Thank you.
Students, the next 10 minutes will be open for QA. You can ask the questions.
So what I'd like to ask is, how does AWS provide a platform for game development? How does AWS provide a platform for game development and all that?
The largest game developers are today running on the AWS platform. So the way to do is, if you are, for instance, so one is we have a startup program. The startup program allows entrepreneurs to, they give credits on the platform, they give some initial investments. You can get started on the platform and you try the services that we have. So game development will require compute, it will require storage, it will require simulation. All of those services are available on AWS. So if you are a budding game developer, you can first learn the services that are available on AWS. How do you learn the services? Through digital, you can actually do game developing in the skill builder. You have you have options to learn about what people can do, about what are the services required for game development. Then you can try and actually do your solution. Once you are ready, then you can obviously start pitching.
Thank you, sir.
You know MP2, right? Most of the game developers today run it on AWS.
Hello, sir. What are the aspects that should be considered while transferring an existing model into a cloud model?
So there are multiple things that people look at. So one is, what are the applications you are moving to the cloud? So there's this concept of core applications like an SAP or like a fintech financial services application. So there are certain core applications which people tend to keep on the cloud, like our financial services. But anything outside, it could be customer experience, it could be contact center, it could be chatbots. All of the surround applications, they can move to the cloud. Now there are 2-3 ways to move to the cloud. The fastest that people have been doing is that they just lift and shift. Industry term is lift and shift or rehosting. So basically, they lift from a data center. There'll be a migrations team from, let's say, AWS, and there's a professional services team. We will get working with the developers, and we will just port the application. So the application would be running on a VMware or a hypervisor or an OS or a particular instance of compute. We will just port the application on a EC2, the equivalent instances on the cloud. So that's the first thing that they do. That's how most people start. But then that is not how they stay. They start modernizing the application, because you bring in concepts like microservices, you bring in concepts like your DevOps principles to those. So then they start reforming and refactoring the application. So that's the first part. Think about what are the applications, and do an assessment of what are the applications that can move to the cloud now, and what are the applications that can move to the cloud long term. So that's one. Second thing that they start evaluating is things like security. What are the security practices that are there? Learning the security, this thing. Mindset is, so the security practice. The third is the talent mapping. What happens is, in an on-prem world, you have a networking specialist, a storage specialist, compute specialist. In the cloud world, all this is provided by Amazon, right? What you need, all these roles mop into a cloud architect. So many people need to start mapping the roles that are there on-prem to cloud roles. So that's the third thing. So what applications you can move, and therefore the costs and associated with that. The applications that you move, the TCO of the application, what is the cost saving? The third is the security. The fourth is the skill map. That's how typically they develop.
Thanks, sir.
Hello. Sir, I'm pretty sure everybody here will agree when I say that one of the biggest concerns for us as computer engineers for this day is the trend of recession that we are seeing. Major companies, major game players like Amazon are having these recessions, and sir, in your presentation you've told us, or you've actually relieved a bit of the stress by saying that there is a lot of job opportunities in the cloud. I'm just curious whether this recession doesn't affect the cloud, or is the cloud resistant, or is recession trends that we don't have to fear?
No. So I think first of all, in a recession, what typically happens is people are looking at cutting down discretionary expenses, right? Whatever expenses that they can get, so kind of monetize that and ensure that the basic lights are on. So one of the things that people do is actually during times of recession or during times of pandemics, actually the cloud usage went up because what they're looking to doing is they're trying to convert their capital structure in the company from fixed cost to variable costs. So one thing you will see is that even in the best of, if you've seen the Amazon thing, we've been growing at a clip of 26 to 20. Last quarter we grew 20%, but we've been growing at a clip of 20%. We have not degrown as a business. So cloud, therefore, during a recession actually is a way to save costs and still continue to innovate. So that is why if you see the data that ESG said, you therefore continue to keep the this thing. Now, what may not happen is a lot of expansion. But in the last, we have seen this in the last 3 years. In the pandemic, the cloud usage went up. Then it kind of stabilized as people started to kind of get back into this thing. And then during this time again, we are seeing a little slowdown growth, but there is growth. We are not degrowing. So my challenge to you is my nephew did his engineering from VIT, and now he's doing his AI/ML in Carnegie Mellon. Now, for someone like him, who's now going to graduate this year, US is in a bad shape. India is in a fantastic shape. So I'm encouraging him actually to take the cloud degrees, certifications that we have, because that is fantastic. Yeah. So rather than getting nervous, skill up very quickly. It will be a lot of hard work. And the good part is the national education policy is that. So sooner or later, you will get in your colleges electives to choose from, the credits of which you can accrue through your lifetime as a learner. Okay?
Sir, also if you could show that slide with your email address, I'm pretty sure none of it was visible.
Yeah.
Sir, can you read that for us?
Yeah, this is shivnap@amazon.com.
Thank you, sir.
shivnap@amazon.com. My focus is to get 500 of you. Listen, this is not be free, but this will be like 1/6 the cost. Why is it not free? Because our realization is when we give people free, they come in a class, they walk out of the class. We want only serious players. I mean, we can look at subsidization, all of that, but we want only serious people because there's a serious investment of time from our side. Okay, just let us know. And I'll be working with the ASAP team here as well to see how we can scale the program that we had on Academy. What else on your mind?
Good afternoon, sir. So ML and AI, it's a growing industry. It's been employed in all kinds of industrial matters right now. What are the limitations that AI has in the industrial sector recently?
Yeah, I think if you see the adoption, so there are two schools of thought here, and I'll probably not speak from an Amazon standpoint. I'll speak from a professional standpoint. The use of AI and ML, I think there's a fine line between ethics on AI/ML. Insofar the industry is deploying it for use cases which are for the good of the business and the humanity at large, I think so. For instance, in financial sector, we are seeing usage in fraud detection. We are using in the e-commerce sector, when you see personalized suggestions being made to you on the Amazon's website, that is because of AI and ML. Now, the limitation is there a limitation of the technology? The technology doesn't have the limitation. The thing is, it's actually a solution looking for a problem. How many of you can figure out what are the problems that you can potentially solve with AI/ML? So the point is not that, so technology has a constraint, technology has no constraint. At this point of time, it used to be earlier, because now the technology models have evolved. There are more frameworks than they were before. TensorFlow, PyTorch, MX Next, all these are frameworks that exist, which weren't earlier. So it's not the technology which has a limitation, it's how far we are ready to apply it and the ethics around that.
So it's basically creating problems and then finding solutions for them.
It's basically the power of imagination. So how do you solve for, so we have some interesting examples of AI ML in agriculture. So analyzing soil conditions, analyzing weather conditions, figuring out if I were to delay the sowing cycle by 27 days, can I get a better harvest? Example is this. The other is application of AI ML in surveillance and security. The application, so you increasingly have you seen a lot of people are looking at facial recognition, fingerprinting. All those data points become very important to manage the security of what we can. As I said, some can misuse it, but for the larger good, when you do a Digi-Yatra today, you do a Digi-Yatra, how fast is your experience through the airport? Can that be misused by other people? Yeah, answer is yes. So I think one, how imaginative you are, which is why I want to open up what are some of the Kerala problems? Tell me some of the Kerala problems. Think about some Kerala problems. Yeah?
I think it is generally all the problems that India has, not just Kerala. Yeah.
It's
I cannot
exactly,
think of anything
it's exactly
particular.
the thing. And the point, the session of innovation. What is it that can make life easy for you as a citizen, as a customer, and your basic observation power to do it? That's the challenge right now. Technology is not a challenge.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions?
Hello, sir. So the technology like OpenAI and ChatGPT is rising days. So do you think it will affect the recession as one person can do the job of three now using ChatGPT and all? So will recession be continuing or it will stop?
There are two questions. One is ChatGPT and OpenAI and impact on jobs. The other question is, will recession continue? Yeah. Okay, listen, I'm no financial pundit, but this recession feels different. If you see the macroeconomic environments, the Ukraine war, the central banks all over the world are fighting inflation by bumping up interest rates. You see food inflation. So, but if you see the unemployment, so the thing with this economy is, it's not that the unemployment rate has gone up. So it's a very different, so world over now they're saying probably going to grow at IMF says we're going to grow about 2.7%. Asia Pac or emerging economies growing at 3.7%. America and European countries going at about 0.7 or even less. Will it continue? I think it's a combination of factors. We are not in recession, but it looks like recession. I don't know what's going to happen. Good part is the unemployment rates, at least even after the tech layoffs, the unemployment rates are not at a point where it's causing alarm globally. So I think the best way is, listen, we can work on ourselves. How do we make ourselves relevant? See, in a corporate career, there are many times that you will probably find yourself unfavorably in a cycle. The times, as many of my friends have been, some of my friends in additional companies, use that time to upskill yourself, because one of the things is going to be upskill. Now, the second question on open chat and chat GPT and OpenAI. No, I think one thing that OpenAI and GPT, again, there are different levels of AI. One thing that will never replace is creativity. You applying AI to a critical issue, the human creativity and innovation right now, it can't take care. It can become sentient, by the way, as some of the people have come to be, but it cannot replace human innovation and human GPT.
So you told that we can fight recession by acquiring skills. So as an interviewer or as an employer, what do you expect from a student or an employee that you are hiring?
Okay, listen, I can talk about Amazon. One thing we focus on from a student perspective, we just focus on what is the attitude of the person. So there is, from a student standpoint, there's a principle called learn and be curious. You know, how much has the student really applied himself? How much of a curiosity factor does he bring in? Because Amazon culturally, we are a day one culture, which means we are continuously looking for solving customer problems in a very maniacal way. So learn and be curious. How has the student applied himself? What skills is he picking up? What is his attitude? So that's one. We calibrate candidates against leadership principles. We have 16 leadership principles. I really encourage you to read that on the website. So when you come to an Amazon interview, read up on the leadership principles and see how you as a person are mapping against those leadership principles. For some student, it's really about your learn and curiosity. You know, how much have you done this thing? What have you done outside of your area of work? Are there some things that this person, how curious is he? What's the attitude of this person? Will he fit Amazon culture? So our campus hiring teams go and acquire, and they look for calibration against leadership principles. Yeah.
We'll have one more question, and after that, if there are any questions, we'll have the questions after the session of the second speaker.
Sir, how secure is cloud, and what are the things that we as users should take care in order to be secure?
Yeah, cloud is very secure. It's more secure. And why is it more secure? Because we have 300 tools at Amazon to just monitor our infrastructure all the time. 300 tools. There are best practices that we do. We comply to something like 98 or 99 odd compliances and security protocols. If you were to run that in your data center, the cost that you will entail and the complexity that you will entail will be huge. So from a security standpoint, that was a concern 5 years back. Cloud is very secure. It's more secure than you can manage on-prem on your data centers. Of course, there'll be people who'll keep kind of looking at vulnerabilities and all of that, but they are far less compared to in your environment. Now, there are certain best practices that you as users, so there are protocols. We actually have a well-architected framework. So for an individual user, you'll have your root password access. There's hygiene around root password access. So when you are there are IAM credentials that are given to you. Those credentials need only to be with you, and obviously there's practice around that. You can't be sharing those credentials and all of that. If you're opening a S3 bucket for a particular thing, you ensure that the S3 bucket is closed. So an S3 bucket is a storage bucket which has data which your application will access to. So you will need to have, most of individual users will have to do with compliances on the S3 bucket. How secure is the data around that? It will not be because of us, it will be because of your human error in not following the principles that we give to you. So that's how we do it, yeah. For large organizations, there's a well-architected framework, security practices, and Techagentia, maybe, I don't know, premising, and maybe you can talk about it. Those are guidelines that we have gathered over years and years of experience. We've been there till 2006, yeah, managing the biggest e-commerce platform on the planet. Okay, so folks, if I've been able to
Mr. Joy Sebastian, sir, who's the CEO of Techagentia. Let us start the session for the second speaker. Sir, let's hand over the session.
Thank you very much. Hi, I am a native of Kerala, so I think you can ask in Malayalam also. I will speak in English for the time being. A very good afternoon. Okay. Do you know me? Anybody? Anybody knew me? Oh, so sad. I was thinking of like not introducing me and get into the topic, but I think I need to introduce because It is not like AWS. I am running a small company. It's called Techgentia. Okay. And I started in 2009, and we are a bootstrapped company in Cherthala Info Park. Do you know there is an Info Park? Not at all. Okay. You heard about Info Park in Kochi and Techno Park in Trivandrum, maybe Cyber Park in Kozhikode, isn't it? So there is a small park in Cherthala, Alleppey. So we were out of that, and we were doing R&D in video conferencing, actually. From the start itself, we were into R&D because I started my career in video conferencing. If you look at my career, I started in 2000 as a software engineer, and I started with a very small product company, one of the first in India, I think. They were doing video conferencing in 2000. I think you may not have been born then, 2000, and you do not have seen the changes happened. Now you are talking about cloud, which give you a power to start today. You know, if I would look back to 2000, if I need to do a kind of a product, if I want to host a product online, it is very difficult, and I may need at least a week to set it up. And I need a static IP, I need a machine over internet, and I need to set up the Apache, I need to set up the MS SQL or MySQL server, then I need to host the PHP, I need to put it there, and I need to try it out on an internet machine. So you can go just now on a click right now. As Amit was saying, on a click of a button, you can just host it right now. That is what the change happened over the years. So what I'm trying to tell you today is, I'm not wondered, I was actually checking whether you know me, because till 2020, nobody, just a neighbor company of us, didn't know us. We were around 60, 70 people working out there in Info Park, Cherthala, and nobody around us, because there are 20, 23 odd companies are there. Most of them are developing services, and none of them knew us. We were around 60 there then. In 2020, what happened was pandemic came in. As you see in doctor's presentation, we also got benefited out of pandemic, actually. Then Government of India announced a challenge, All India Challenge, where they were looking for a indigenous video conferencing solution. Yeah, okay. Indigenous video conferencing solution, which is more secure. And then I will tell you, they were skeptical about cloud-based video conferencing solutions, which will be used to the very private meetings of ministers, secretaries, and all. So they were very skeptical because there are some talking about Zoom is coming from China, so we don't use it. And government actually told every government officials not to stay away from Zoom, and government want the Indian company to develop something like Zoom. And they were looking for something, and they started a challenge which was worth 1 crore rupees. Okay. Then around 2,000 companies participated in that, including the likes of Tech Mahindra, Zoho, HCL. Everyone started looking at as an opportunity because India wanted indigenous video conferencing. So everyone thought about this is an opportunity to step in with a video conferencing solution. So almost 2,000 companies participated in that. And our company, Techgentia, win it through a 5-month challenge. And that is why I am here, okay, to talk to you. So now, Government of India actually took our product and white labeled it as Bharat VC. You know what the pride behind it, Bharat VC. We are behind that technology. on which PM and other cabinet ministers all are talking to their committees and meetings. That is happening through Bharat VC right now. It is hosted in NIC cloud and it is under government's control. You got it. And Amit said this right, we are running a SaaS, software as a service model for others other than the government of India officials on AWS right now. And it has been growing and we are engaging around 100 people right now on that product. Now I come to my points. Okay, this is for my introduction because nobody introduced me and you all didn't know me. That's why I just talked about it. And the team is working on very hard to meet the likes of, this is a global area where even Amazon have a product on video conferencing, it is called Chime. And Google have Google Meet. Others, Microsoft is coming up very nicely with the Teams. And others also. Cisco is coming with the WebEx. It is global giants area we are competing with right now. But we have our own areas where India's categorized, classified organizations like Baba Atomic Research Center, Indian Navy, Indian Army, ISRO, those all are our pride customers. So we are very proud of that is happening right now. So I have a story right now. And in 2009, I will tell you what is happening. I got an iPhone from US. Okay. It was not a kind of a gift or something like that. It is coming with a customer request. Okay, customer want. It was, I remember correctly, it was an iPhone 3GS. Okay, in 2009. It came with a customer request. iPhone 3GS, if you look at the iPhone 3GS, it doesn't have a front-facing camera. It doesn't have a front-facing camera. Okay. What was the request from the customer? Because it is a video conferencing customer for us. They send an iPhone with a request saying that they need video conferencing on iPhone 3GS. If you look at someone talking to somebody, taking the microphone in front and then talking, you are seeing some of the old people doing it using mobile phone. That's the case came to me. Because this particular phone doesn't have a front-facing camera. How do you do video conferencing? That was my question. And they were suggesting some solutions. I also suggested something. I suggested to fit a kind of a mirror. That's a kind of add-on. You can get it from market. You can fix it like a plug. And the mirror will act as a camera. And you will take the camera on the mirror and then the back camera will take that mirror image and send it out. I made a prototype because you will think, now you will thinking that I have some kind of a nose or something like that. But what happened was, I took around 3-4 months to develop that and made it possible. Then what happened? In 2010, Apple came up with iPhone 4 with a front-facing camera. You got my point. Why I told you this story? Because you are in a very agile world. You are in a very agile world. If you are thinking like innovation is going to do something right now, I will tell you, you should look at everything that is happening around. I thought it was a huge innovation at that point of time because nobody did it. And another use case, when I was trying this, another interesting use case came, and that was for ladies who are using mirrors inside their vanity bag, will use it for the iPhone for looking at their face. That has happened after the selfie era, but this is a use case came in 2009 in front of me. And I tried some innovation, something that is possible with our capabilities. But what happened? The change made it a obsolete innovation. Okay, that is what I am trying to tell you. And another use case I will tell you. I was doing video conferencing from 2000. I am telling you this. And in 2000, if you look at the web browser, you know web browsers and all. You are computer science students, I felt. Okay, if you look at the web browsers in the industry then, it was two major web browsers are there. One is called Netscape Navigator. Okay, you ever heard about it? No, okay. Then Microsoft came up with Internet Explorer. Both are doing good in their areas. Microsoft spinned up it with Windows, and that causes a lot of issues later for them. But what I'm trying to say is, we were trying to build a product which can access the microphone and web camera from the web browser in 2000. Okay. You may not understand my situation because in that period, no web browser will allow you to access any hardware on your system. You cannot access even hard disk space on your machine through web browser. Web browser was only intended for what? Internet browsing. It is not meant for accessing your on-machine devices. So what we thought was, we should write down something, we should research it. And I did around 9 years. I spent around 9 years to figure out how to make that possible. And made it. And it was happening through that. Web browser will able to do that through some ActiveX controls. If you are aware of ActiveX controls by Microsoft. And it was able to do through applets. If you are familiar with Java, there is a technology Java introduced to put into the browser to access those things. So we made it through, happened it in 2009 or so. Then what happened was, Google came up with the Chrome and they put into a stack into the Chrome. That is called WebRTC. That made everything possible. So what happened was, my 9-10 years of research went into vain. You got it? One of my colleague who was a co-founder with me, he made a camera on iPhone. You know camcorder? Camcorder you are familiar with. Now nobody is using it. But camcorder have a capability that you can pause the video somewhere and then go to the other side and then start it again. It will be a single stream of video in the camcorder. Okay. Now you are familiar with it because every camera have that capability. But in 2012, it was not like that in iPhone or any mobile phone. You cannot take a continuous stream of video by pausing somewhere and going out there and take it. Continuously, you cannot do that. Otherwise, you need to just go every continuous stream you should take from that. You can just take a video from here, pause it, then start it again here. That is not possible in 2012, 13. And he made an application, iOS app, which made it possible. He made a camera app. And it was a very good hit in the market. We were able to earn around $10,000 every month by selling that app on App Store. But what happened was next year, iPhone introduced the same. And for them it is very easy. For them I'm not disappointing you now. But those are experiences we got in the journey through this 12, 13 years. And what happened was, now what is happening around is, people are more into kind of a physical problem that need to be solved actually now started looking into. That is what happened in the industry. It is like you want something like Amit was really asking you whether you are seeing any Kerala problem. Someone was saying, I am not seeing any Kerala specific problem. It is like a all India problem. We are also suffering. Is that right? Is that right? No. Even my village is called Mararikulam. You may have heard about it. My village have its own problems. That is where you are not going to expect Microsoft to come and solve that. You are listening to me. Is that right? Okay. Those problems I identified in my journey was a global problem. And everyone need a camera like that. Front-facing camera is required. Everyone need a camcorder-like app in the camera. But if you look at your regional issues, I will tell you another story. I have a client in Norway. Okay, one of our client. Norway, you heard about it. They are very, very good at social kind of activities like elder will get a lot of benefits. Elders will get care from the government and all. And they are very rich enough to handle that. My client is in Tromsø. You heard about Tromsø? No. Illa. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Tromsø is a northernmost city in Norway. Norway is a kind of strip towards the northern pole, and this is the northernmost city in Norway. And they have the beautiful, what you call, northern lights. I went there and seen it. And it is a small city, and it had only 50,000 people residing there, around 50,000 people residing there. They were one of the major customers for us. And what they are doing is, through video, they are entertaining elders at home through video conferencing. Using our customized solution, they are entertaining people at home using multi-party video conferencing. And they are giving us around $25,000 a month as royalty for that product. How they reach it? In among 50,000 people, they are doing a very good, profitable business. They are not reaching out to anywhere else in Norway. That is wondering me also. They identified a local problem. They identified a local opportunity. And they made a solution for that particular issue. You got my problem. If you look at your surroundings, you can see tons of problems like that. What the beauty is, if you have identified a problem that need a immediate solution, you can provide that in a day. That is where the technology is right now. That is where the technology is right now. And you have every capability that is coming out of. If you look at every cloud, including Amazon, you can try out the technology you build without giving them any fees at all, right now. And it is absolutely, you can make a lean product and try out in your locality and get a kind of a sense whether it works or not with inputting your effort only. That's what happens. One more thing I want to, you identified what I am trying to say, isn't it? You are getting me? Right. Another problem I am seeing, as some of them were asking, what are you looking at a fresher when you come for an interview? That's the point where I am coming to. Okay. So, when I was driving from Alleppey to here, I was thinking what to tell you today. Okay. So last week we are having interviews at office for the freshers. And I am looking at their resumes. Seriously, lot of them put tons of things on the resume right now. People are, I think they are using ChatGPT to create resumes right now. So I'm seeing a lot of things. And some of them they finished their college and came out. They put their projects. Okay. Those projects, some of the projects were saying, maybe IEEE told you to do that kind of projects. And it's a kind of, as a 20-year-old industry guy, and I will do coding right now also. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of blah blah on the resume. What I will ask them is, what is your project? You done something. Most of them do something like a network sniffer, network intrusion detection. Most of the software is coming like that. And I asked them whether what you did actually then started the problems happening. They don't even knew what are the protocols that is being used on internet to communicate with each other. I mean, how TCP and UDP is happening over the internet, then they are telling me that intrusion detection has been done on internet. What is happening? You all knew, because I am not trying to pick you out. What is happening is, even if you are doing a kind of a database application, which just inputs 2-3 fields taken from a UI and put that back onto database. If you do it by your hand, I mean, do it without the help from someone else. As a computer science student, you need to be. Now we are talking about a lot of kind of technologies that is coming in and going out. But you need to understand what is happening actually behind the scene. Now you are talking about AWS. Tomorrow you are going to take a AWS EC, how to create an EC2 instance. If you are not aware of what is happening behind the scene, what is all about, I think they may have not mapped EC2 to an instance on a virtual machine or something like that. They may not have. But you know, as a computer science student, you should know what is happening actually on theoretical basis at least. What AWS is doing when they create an EC2 instance. You don't need to go through the architecture they did, because it was a huge architecture they built for, as Amit told you. What is happening? They made it for Amazon e-commerce. And they thought this is the problems others are also want to solve. And they made it public to the other companies and all those who want to solve those problems. But at least you need to understand, because that is the theory you are studying in your curriculum. So one of my advice is, first stick to the basics. First, stick to the basics. You are learning a lot of theory there, but most of them are thinking that this theory is not going to help you. Because every day you are getting media information saying that blockchain will be the next thing. And you are all talking about AML will be the next thing. As a computer science student, I would like to advise you, before looking at anything else, you should go through all the theory papers you did so far. Now you are in 6th term or third sem or fourth sem, I don't know. But you need to understand what operating system is all about, what networking is all about. Then if you look at AWS, if you look at anything else, then you will understand why this is so huge, why this is so much valued. You are getting me? Because I knew why EC2 instance is important for me. Because I gone through the pain of installing things on premises. I gone through doing it on maintenance. I gone through keeping people who are well aware of the things that is running on our solutions. So that is very important when you, then my answer to your question is, what we will look for when we take people onboarded is all about what you studied from your curriculum. We need AWS people, that is of course there. But if you know the curriculum also, that's what matters most. Because the things, why things are changing, that is my question, next question. Why things are changing so fast? Because someone gone through the pain of making something happen in the future. Then that pain, he want to solve it, or they want to solve it. Then they solve the solution, they find out a solution and put it in front of you. We have a solution right now. I will tell you another, I will tell you another example. The messaging in between applications. That is a pain always. Messaging means one application need to send some message to some other application. Say, for example, it can be database, it can be a Java Spring Boot application you are hosting, or it can be a C++ application you are building. You need to send a message from a C++ application to a database. This is definitely a pain, because when it happening, the messaging is happening, anything can happen on the system. And that messaging may not reach the destination. That can also happen. Now there are RabbitMQ, Kafka to do that. You will get that solutions on AWS, I think. You will get the Kafka service. You will get the RabbitMQ. You can use it easily. Someone identified this problem and someone solved that issue. Okay. Then, if this particular component fails, what will happen? That is also another thing. Then you will come up with a new solution. That is happening. I am seeing a good solution that is happening on cloud right now, Temporal, temporal.io. That is handling this particular problem. While message is going from one end to the other end, if something happens, it will keep that status. And whenever it is ready, it will send it again. So, then the problem is, as a computer science student, if you are not aware of the basics, you are not going to make any solutions. If you are not aware of, we are seeing a lot of solutions, and they will talk about a lot, but they knew. I will tell you another story. Facebook you are familiar with. Okay. When we type a congratulations message, what will happen on that? It will show up some stars. Or when Argentina won the World Cup, the next day, Google's doodle was like, when you take the Google, it will show up Argentina on top, and it will make some stars, my sparkling colors and all. Who are you? You are computer science students. Others are there, maybe management guys are there outside, someone else. And management guys and you all see the same thing on Google, isn't it? Okay. Management guys doesn't have anything to do with it. they will say, wow. Yeah? You also say, wow, it's good. It's amazing. Isn't it? Yeah, true. But as a computer science student, I have an advice for you. You shouldn't be. You can put a wow and you can say it's amazing. All that stuff is okay. Then you should start thinking about what? How they did it. It is not for you are going to beat Facebook sometime tomorrow or Google sometime tomorrow. But as a computer science student, you all should start thinking about how you don't need to search for more and just start how they did it. And think about whether is it possible to do it better. Is it possible to do it better? Okay. Then as a computer science guy or computer science girl, you start innovating things. You start innovating things. That is where the trick is all about. When we see our product, we have our product. You can also try it out. We are trying to build it better than Google Meet. We are trying to build it better than Zoom. We are trying to better than any product in the world right now, even though we are a very small company. Because if someone asks you, what is the difference, what is the value you are adding to video conferencing domain, then I have to say something, otherwise it's a obsolete product. You are getting me? So this is where we are. Am I running out of time or something like that? No. 5 minutes. 120. Okay. So these are the things you have to be really care about when you start your career. Another thing I have to tell you, I will wind up in 5-10 minutes, then you can ask me questions. Okay. You were all talking about recession, and I am also seeing recession. Everyone in the industry is looking at recession as a kind of, I've seen 3-4 recessions during my career. And recession is not about killing the jobs. They will start cutting down the cost that is making them a bit fatty. That is what happened. As newbies or freshers, you don't need to worry about anything right now. Because the cutting down and everything will happen on the middle layer or the top layer. That is good. As a fresher, you don't need to worry about. And you are very lucky, I would say, because pandemic, as AWS shown you, the pandemic made a lot of digitization happen. And every classical business out there, they thought digitization is not required, but they also identified that it's a need of the hour to survive in the another pandemic. So they all started digitization. That is what happened in 2021. We were seeing a lot of hike in the salaries of 5-10-year-old people in Kerala. What happened was all the companies who are doing service here in Kerala got tons of projects in their hand on the digitization process. And they were identified. With the manpower they have, they couldn't do it. So they asked everyone to join them with any cost. So that is what happened. There was a great attrition happened in 2021 in Kerala industry at least. I think Bangalore also suffered due to that. Yeah, most of the Indian industry suffered. That is because digitization drive happened all over the country, all over the world. And all the projects, service projects most of them came to India because of the software capital. At least in the service industry, we are the front runner. So everything that made you, that's why I told you, you are very lucky. You are coming out of the college in 2023. And there are tons of opportunities. If you are looking as an employment opportunity, there are tons of opportunity. If you have an additional skill like what Amit told you, stick to the basics first. Then you get some additional skill that will give you an additional advantage, of course. Every company looking for, because DevOps is becoming a hot job in India right now. Cloud DevOps, especially Cloud SecOps. So that's a very hot job and very highly paid job right now in India because of the scarcity of people who knew the cloud. Because it is, most of the companies as the pandemic drive everyone to go to cloud also because of the reasons Amit told you. So, but you need to understand, you need to stick on to the basics, then add some skills like this, the new skills. Then you are very comfortable enough to be employed and to start a innovative startup or something like that. With this, I am winding up my talk and you can ask me questions right now. Thank you.
Hello. So you told me as a computer science student, we should basically start from the basics. So according to you, which is considered as a starting point for really a newbie, a one who haven't yet used computer for coding, or starting from the ABCD? So which should be that?
I would say your theory papers. If you are like to be a computer programmer, if you don't know data structure, what are you going to do with? That's one question I have. If you want to start a career in programming, if you are not familiar with, because you are seeing ChatGPT, isn't it? You are seeing ChatGPT. If you ask ChatGPT, it will create a program for you. I seen someone creating tic-tac-toe on ChatGPT. Tell them, create a program, JavaScript script for tic-tac-toe. Then it created a script. They build it and it is running like a tic-tac-toe was we do. Then he asked them to create a button to show the score. Then it created it. So you are not supposed to do such kind of programming jobs anymore. If you are going to do programming, you are going into, because deep tech is the future. If you look at things, you have to be, if you are pursuing a programming career, you need to be a good programmer. For a good programmer, what is the basic qualification? You need to understand at least all the data structures behind. Programming logic is very easy. You can do anything. But if you don't understand the data structures, then how do you go into a programmer? So if you are going to do it, you should do that. If you are going to DevOps, you need to understand why operating system is behaving like this. How things are going to be scheduled. Because these guys are giving you a platform to create a CI/CD pipeline. What we are calling it continuous integration, continuous development pipeline. And you are pushing all the developed softwares towards the production in a day. And if you are not aware of operating system, how do you do that? If you are not understanding the operating system, then someone should understand the operating system and someone should direct you. Then you are out. Then you are out of the industry. Right now, people need, I think what India lacks right now and Kerala lacks right now is the knowledge in the basics is very low when you compare the others coming out. My CTO is a Bihar guy. My company CTO is a Bihar guy. I am not saying a Kerala guy is not good or so. Why I'm comparing him, he understands things better than our guys. Why US, coming out of US, a guy is making good programs. Why this ChatGPT came out from US? Why Bard is coming out of US? The quality core programmers are getting out of there. We need those things. I think everyone is talking about next 5 years, we will be building great things. We will be hand raising to the world saying that we are also building Amazons, we are also building Apple, we are also building Microsoft. Then what should happen in the background? The core technology guys should come out. Then at least understand the basics. Then only talk about the peripheral stuff. That is what my, yeah.
Yeah. So if I want to be a coder or someone who loves coding, so should I start from assembly language?
No, not required actually. Not required. That is not required because assembly language and binary is taken care of. You don't need to worry about it. But if you are going to deal with, I will say, if you are going to give a device, Android device, or a new, we are now talking about BurOS and all. And you are going to build a product for Indian military. No one can access that device which is used by the communication, used for the communication in Indian military. Then you need to be hacked into Android OS or some kind of a ARM-based operating system, or you need to start writing an ARM-based operating system, then yes. If else, you are not supposed to go into assembly and all.
So one more question, so as you have, I know you're very knowledgeable, so I'm not, one more question, yeah. We are all discussing about ChatGPT right now, and it's very evident that we can do many things by giving a simple prompt to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But I have seen that people usually confuse it with the working of Google Assistant. But what I have understood, it's just a language model, and it predicts the next word with that sequence. So, how to give a perfect prompt to ChatGPT?
It is more than that.
Yeah.
It is more than that. That is the problem. I will tell you a story again. I was in a meeting in Alleppey. You were all talking about local problems. I am trying to solve a problem that is evident in Kerala everywhere. That is solid waste. There is no proper solid waste management in Kerala yet. That is, I was in a meeting with some Alleppey guys who are taking care of it. And I asked them, just try it with ChatGPT, what is going to happen? I was giving a help to them. And we asked ChatGPT, can you propose a solid waste management plan for Alleppey? It thought for 5 seconds. That is a kind of a user experience they are giving. But it made a 6-page proposal, I think. With everything that already happened in Alleppey and which is not applied in Alleppey, which is applied somewhere else in India. And it made a very good proposal with 6 points. And we can expand on it. Each point we can ask them again how to make it possible and all. So think about in that perspective. It is not a kind of a language model that you are talking about right now. It is not about understanding human language only. It understands the knowledge available on the internet, and it can assimilate its own knowledge from that and capable of building a proposal out of that. My question you can also ask again. What it shows, you will look at it. So ChatGPT and Bard is going to be, there are some other companies who are doing good in that also. But it is going to be something else that is going to kill some of the low skill jobs, of course, I would say. Because last week I need to put on a micro website for a new product that built by us. I need to do it in 2-3 days. Always we do is, we took a creative writer, outsource it, and I will talk to him, and these are the product features and all blah, blah, blah. He will create a 2-3 page document and we will build it into a website. And we will pay him maybe 5,000, 6,000 rupees for every content he is creating. This time, I discussed this among the team because we are running out of time and I have a demo to do. So, what we did was, the guys told me, try out ChatGPT to create a content for the website. Now you got my point. One job is cut. One job is cut. So, if someone believes that ChatGPT is not going to kill any job, yes, I would say it will kill a lot of jobs. That is low-skilled jobs that is there. Creative content, of course. If you need a imaginative, creative content which is nowhere in the internet, yes, you may need someone who is good creative. But this creativity does not fit for all the low-skilled jobs happening in the industry right now. So most of them, this kind of jobs will cut down. And my kid, who is also doing computer science right now, he asked me whether it is not ethical to do an assignment using ChatGPT. He's asking me. I told him, if you are running out of time, do it. Otherwise, don't. Because it is possible. You heard the news about Australia is banning all the internet or ChatGPT access to the students. So, these all are things can happen. Any questions else? So come on, quick. They are running out of time.
Okay, last question.
One more is here.
Good afternoon, sir. Happy to interact with you. So my question is, like, looking back into your past, like building your startup up, can you share something that you feel that you could have done better? Like maybe some decisions or something.
Of course. Decisions are always there.
Maybe you can share a few.
A
That would
lot
be
of them. Okay, but I will tell you some of the things. When I was starting with the video conferencing, I can select something else also. Because I am basically a programmer. That is one decision maybe. If a pandemic doesn't happen, I will not be here. So if that is happened, what you call, it's a kind of destiny that made for me. Otherwise, video conferencing selection to deal with people who are doing Zoom and other WebEx and all, it is a wrong decision to take, to start a company with video conferencing. And due to only pandemic, this is Government of India identified us and we got some good clients from India. Otherwise, we were running good in revenue and all, but I should have done better if I selected some other options in the industry, because I do have a very good team. I would say very good programmers in the team. So that's why this complex technology can be made. If you look at Zoom's engineering number and Google's engineering number in video conferencing industry, that may run into thousands. We are doing with less than 100. And we are making a better product than Zoom and Google Meet. I knew that. But we are not able to pitch that in yet. But it's a wrong decision if pandemic doesn't happen. So something else.
Good afternoon, sir. Yeah, that was a long wait for me. I hope my question is not disappointing. It's just a simple question that came out of curiosity. So, we were talking about innovations, and you said that we should focus on innovation based on our regions, right? Then, like, we should think about innovation on our small regions. So, my question is that isn't at this day and age, isn't innovation often correlated with the revenue generates? Like sometimes we can't be we can't generate something because of a humanitarian cause. Because money is a very important element in today's day and age.
Money is important, yeah. Money is very important. Of course, that's a good question.
Sir, I
Why?
should
Yeah.
add on to something. So shouldn't we develop something like it should be a region-oriented thing, but also shouldn't it be implemented universally? Like we should generate a model that is universal.
Good. Got it. Got your point. Why I asked you to look at local problems? Because the global problems are looked at by a lot of people right now. I'm trying to make you to a small area, not because of you. I don't want you to be global. That is not the thought process behind. Why I told you to look at local problems is global problems are being addressed by a lot of other people also right now. And they are all continuously monitoring the issues. If there is an issue, if they can solve it, they are thinking that it is going to be a global product or something like that. That is why I didn't told you to look at global problems. If you identify a global problem, go for it. There is no problem. But there will be a lot of challenges, a lot of competition that is going to happen in that area. And your question, if you made a local problem solved, then this problem may not have been looked into yet by global competitors also. Because these local problems, when they, large guys doesn't look at local problems because they don't see a kind of a monetary benefit out of it when they look at that issue. And as a small guy or a small player in the market, you are solving a small problem in the local area. That can be, there is a kind of a thing, global or something like that, a kind of a talk is there. So when you see a problem locally, it can be, I will tell you a small story. We are doing some service also. My company has a small portion which is doing a service. We are into a kind of a banking, core banking plus marketplace product we are building. And we solved a problem in Vietnam. There is a small problem, but it is for a street vendors. They want to go online and sell their product. They couldn't do it on Amazon because of Amazon's kind of a infrastructure and all. They don't have the capability to use that product. Because of merchant onboarding is a process there. That's a kind of a process. But bank came in from Vietnam. They told me, create a small interface. When they create an account, they will create a bank account also through their bank. And they can sell their product under the umbrella of that bank. That means bank made a e-commerce platform and given a small app to the street vendors so that they can just pick the photographs and just upload it and they will be online. And they made 1.25 million customers. It is running on Amazon. It is running on AWS right now. 1.25 million customers onboarded in 2 years. The young guys who loves to do gaming, they do e-commerce through gamification. That is what happened. They made two different kind of customers. The street merchants became their customers, the bank customers. Also the young guys who love to do game. They do kind of a rummy game or something like that to purchase products from there. So they tried to build a product that is very local. That is not able to, but what I seen when I presented it to Government of Kerala last month, they actually like the product because they also want something like this here in Kerala to make the small retailers to sell their product online. So you understand because it was a local problem identified by that bank and we made a product for them. And now when we look at some small modifications, we'll suit it for other customers also. That is where the trick is. If you solve the waste management problem in Alleppey, it can suit to any city that is similar to Alleppey, like canals, the backwaters, all those stuff were there. And the waste management is very, very difficult there. So if you solve that problem there, you can fit it to any city. But they may have even thought about it yet. So that is the case. So when you made a local solution, that doesn't mean that it is going to be every time local. You can pitch it somewhere. Once you identify a problem, go for it and do it. And you can avoid a lot of challenges like the competitions out there when you do small problems.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your valuable experience with the students. With this, we are moving on to the closing ceremony of the forenoon session. On behalf of PSS 2023, we would like to thank Mr. Amit Mehta, sir, Head Training and Certification AWS, for his valuable suggestion and experience shared with the students. We, as ASAP Kerala, would like to extend our resources to fulfill AWS goals of bridging the skill gap and thereby providing employment to the youth of Kerala. Thank you, sir, for the valuable presentation. On this note, we would like to present you a small token of appreciation, gratitude. We would like to welcome you onto the dais, sir. Thank you, sir. As you all know, Mr. Joey Sebastian, sir, and his team won the Grand Innovation Challenge Award for the video conferencing software organized by India's Ministry of Electronics and IT as part of Make in India initiative. We are so proud to have you here with us today, sir. We would like to extend our sincere gratitude to you for uplifting the Kerala's talent presence in the global footprint. Thank you, sir. On this note, we would like to present you a small token of gratitude. Sir, please come to the dais. Lunch is being provided in the backside, in the main